We're about to begin the services for Mr. Alan Cohen. We want to welcome the many people here at the temple as well as the many that are viewing this service remotely. Just a gentle reminder, folks, if you have a cell phone with you, please place it in the silent mode or turn it off completely. That would be appreciated. Services this morning will be conducted by Cantor Kevin McKenzie.
Esaenai el harim me'ayin yavo Ezri me'im Adonai osei shamayim va'aretz Ezri me'im Adonai osei shamayim va'aretz. You may notice that it says officiating Cantor Jennifer Frost on the program. She is out sick this morning, unfortunately. So I will be here, and it's actually special in a way because the week when we heard of Alan's passing, we all decided that we could all easily have officiated, and we were all considering who might officiate. And at first, Rabbi Lilly, Rabbi Goldstein had a little bit of the part of the process, as did Cantor Frost, who ultimately decided that she would officiate. But in a way, I think it's also now special that at least one part of everyone who's been here for at least a while is still able to have part of this process and being able to touch on so much of someone who is a big part of our community. Mourning is the price we pay for having the courage to love others. Even in grief, we know that the wonder of human life is too complex and too magnificent to be memorialized in endless pain. The gifts of spirit our loved ones gave us cannot be measured or weighed, nor can they be lost or even tarnished by time. Even in our darkest hours, we know that some of their light and their warmth will always be with us, bringing comfort and courage, and in the fullness of time, healing and peace. Adonai roi lo echsar bino sheyarbitzeni al mei menuchot ינעלני נפשי שובב שובב ינחני במעגלי צדק ינחני במעגלי צדק למען שמו. גם כי אלך בגיא צל מוות לא אירא רע כי אתה עמדי שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפניי שולחן נגד צורריי Tishantav Hashem en roshi kosire vaya. Ach tov chesed yirdefuni kol yemei chayai, kol yemei chayai. V'shavti beveit Adonai leorech yamim. Adonai roi lo echsar. Adonai roi lo echsar. Psalm 23 on the inside of your pamphlet. I'd like to invite you to read together. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. These are Cantor Frost's words. I am so sorry for your loss. I am so sorry for our loss. I cannot believe that we are here once again, just a few short months after your mom's passing. Alan and Harriet were fixtures in our community, coming to all of our classes, delighting and learning growth in their Judaism. And your dad, after your mom died, became a fixture at our Wednesday morning minyan, waiting to honor your mom's legacy and memory. I knew he found comfort in our BJ community. And on a personal note, I too, every Wednesday, were able to see, and I can tell you exactly where he sat and what he would say every single Wednesday. Rabbi Bachya Even Bakuda says, days are scrolls. Write on them what you want to be remembered. The days of Alan's life, how he lived, who and how he loved, the impact he leaves, these scrolls speak volumes. From the stories that you shared with me, Alan was a man who lived life his way, who was devoted to his family, and who drank the cup of life to its dregs for as long as he possibly could. It does great honor when those who knew our loved ones best rise up to speak blessings. So before I continue, I'll invite Jay to come forward and speak.
Yeah, before I begin, I just want to thank everyone. Express my sincere gratitude for joining us today. I know over the last couple of days, so many people have reached out to us with calls, messages, and it's really been really meaningful and really helpful to all of us. A little bit about Alan, some basics. He was born on August 20th, 1934, to Sidney and Sidel Cohen. He was the oldest of 3 children, with a younger brother, the late Joel Cohen, and a younger sister, the late Carol Stern. He met my mother, the late Harriet Cohen, through his roommate, who was dating my mom's roommate. That introduction led to their marriage in 1968. Alan and Harriet had 2 children, my brother Mark and me. Alan also had 2 children from a previous marriage, Lori and Bruce. In total, Alan was blessed with 4 children, 6 grandchildren, and 4 great-grandchildren. But beyond those basic facts, I want to tell you a little bit about my father and how I saw him. Alan Cohen was romantic. He met the love of his life in my mother, the late Harriet Cohen. Every year, he would write to her 4 letters and poems. On Valentine's Day, on Mother's Day, on her birthday, and on their anniversary. He saved those letters and poems in a book, and they stand as a testament to his enduring love for her that lasted almost 57 years. Sorry. Alan Cohen was also an artist. Throughout his life, he wrote poems, made drawings and paintings, and took photographs. He was curious and interested in the world around him and saw beauty everywhere, in the birds that passed through our backyard, in walks to the forest preserve near our house, in his travels to Europe and Asia and around the US and our family events. Alan Cohen, he was also the picture lady. Alan loved teaching and learning. When Mark and I were in grade school, there was a picture lady program where a local mom would visit our classes and talk about famous works of art. My dad was the first man to take up this role and visit our elementary school classrooms for years, speaking about great works of art. After he retired, my dad was active in adult education classes and participated in classes on art and international relations. Alan Cohen was also an explorer. He was curious about the world. When we were growing up, my dad and I used to explore small channels around Lake Wawasee in a small fishing boat. Later in life, he and my mother would take trips to Asia and Europe. While traveling with him in Asia, we would often take walks so he could take pictures. He would explore cities through photography and then turn those pictures into works of art back when he came back home and worked in his studio. I think people that knew him would say Alan Cohen was also an Iron Man. He was in amazing shape. He was passionate about fitness. For as long as I could remember, my father woke up early and worked out daily. He was disciplined every day, walking, swimming, working out with weights. He was strong and in great shape. I don't think I ever beat him in arm wrestling in all my years. But beyond the workouts, he made great friends at the YMCA and formed relationships that last for decades. Alan Cohen, he was also a dancer. He was well known on the dance floors of bar mitzvahs and weddings at our family events, and could put teenagers to shame with his energy and enthusiasm on the dance floor. Though in great shape, he did have a fall or two in his late 80s. At the time, he went to a doctor to check to see if he was having balancing issues, and the doctor gave him a look over and said he was fine. However, the doctor said at his age he had a choice. He can either drink at these parties or he can dance, but he can't do both at the same time. Dad stuck with the dancing. But of all my dad's traits, I think the one that was most important was that he was present. He was present and there for all of us. For Harriet, at a moment of greatest need, when she was struggling with cancer, always by her side. And for Mark, Lori, Bruce, and me, and for all of his grandchildren, Matthew and Alex, Jessica, Brian, and Kevin, and Spencer. He participated in our lives during the good times and supporting us during the challenges that life threw our way. He was steady, constant, and non-judgmental. Upon thinking of the meaning of being present, it made me think, being present is really a gift. It was a gift of his time, a gift of his experience, and a gift of his being. I look out at everyone here today and see so many people that he impacted. Maybe he made a picture for you. Maybe he led one or organized one of your classes. He may have been the stalwart that you saw for years at the Y or PJB. Or you might have found him enlivening a party, cutting a rug on the dance floor. You could always count on Alan to give the very best of himself. And when he did something. In life, good things and bad things will happen to us. We won't be able to choose how and when we pass away. The only thing we can control is how we choose to live our lives today. And Alan made the choice to live his life each day with passion, with vigor, with curiosity, with humor, and with love. It was a life that was complete and well-lived, and a life that we will miss and always remember. Thank you.
Thank you. My father lived, 91 years, and he approached every day with an energy and enthusiasm that, it really was just something to see. He was really one of the most unique and interesting people I ever met. He was an entrepreneur who started 2 businesses. He was an award-winning photographer. He was an artist. He wrote poetry. He traveled the world and documented it all in pictures. And he was also a husband for over 50 years. He was a father, a grandfather, great-grandfather. He was an uncle, a cousin, a brother. And I think my father would want me to start talking about family, because family was really very important to him, family relationships. And it didn't really matter to my father whether it was a brother or a third cousin twice removed. He wanted to know about you. He wanted to be involved in your life. He wanted to see you as often as he could. He wanted to talk to you as frequently as possible. And he wanted you at family gatherings and parties and dinners. And one of the fondest memories of my life was as growing up, all of the different get-togethers that he had, the dinners, the parties, and all kinds of people were there. There'd be cousins, some you knew, some you didn't, friends with family. And then always there was great conversation, lively debate, a ton of laughs, and always good food, which to me is the recipe for a good day. My father was passionate about a lot of things. One of them was exercise, as Jay mentioned. Now, I remember as a kid watching my dad get up at 5:30 in the morning, work out until 7, and go to work. And then on the weekends, he would get up at 5:30 in the morning, work out till 7, and not go to work. And even as young as 10 or 11, I just thought to myself, this can't be normal behavior. So I thought, well, as a kid, so I thought, well, maybe he's an adult, and adults go through phases. Maybe he's going through a phase, and he'll get over it. But he never did. And years later, when he retired, he would start working out 2 and 3 hours a day. And he walked to most people, to places most people drove to. And years later, I asked him, I said, when did you first start exercising? And my dad, who had a great sense of humor, he said 3. But I didn't get serious about it till I was 4.5. My dad, as a lot of you know, had a wide variety of interests. He took classes, he taught classes, joined organizations and groups about and learned about, he really had a very curious mind. He learned about things that had interested him his whole life. And he was always a voracious reader, but when he retired, he got a chance to put more energy into learning about things that he thought was interesting and that he wanted to find out more about. And it was a wide variety of things: religion, philosophy, politics, current events, art, photography, economics, finance, and literature, and I'm sure I'm leaving a bunch of stuff out. In fact, 6 months before he died, we had lunch, and he looked at me and he said, "I'm a Sherlockian." And I said, "Okay, I'll bite. What's a Sherlockian?" He said, "I'm a member of a group that all we do is meet and study Sherlock Holmes." I just said, "Of course you are." Anyway, so he went to these classes, he took all this stuff, and while he was doing it, he did what he had done his entire life. He made friends. And to my dad, it didn't really matter whether you were 25 or 85. If you became his friend, chances are you were going to be a lifelong friend. And these weren't people that he saw once in a blue moon or talked to here and there. These were people that he talked to frequently, that he saw all the time, that he really went places with, went to classes with, and conferences and stuff, and he held them close. And it was, I think, with my father, just to give you an idea of how many friends he had and close relatives, when he died, my brothers, my sister, and me, we all had to tell people of Dad's passing, and we talked to dozens and dozens of people, and pretty much everybody had the same reaction. "You're kidding, I just talked to him 2 days ago." That was my dad. He just would keep in touch with everybody. Now, my father was a complex individual, and he had great relationships with a lot of people, but he had some challenging relationships. And one of the most challenging relationships he had was with technology. So he was a flip phone guy long after flip phones had gone out of vogue. And we tried to convince him to get an iPhone or a smartphone, something like that they could do more and this and that. But he just said, "This is fine. I know how to work it. I can make calls. I can receive calls. That's all I need to do." But then one day he caved, and he called me up, and he said, "I got a smartphone," and he asked me how to do a couple of things, and I told him, and he said, "Great," and I said, "Listen, I'm going to be over on Saturday. I can show you how to do a bunch more things." And he said, "Great." We hung up, and 2 minutes later, my phone rings, and it's my dad. And I hear him talking to himself, saying, "This thing, what's wrong with this damn thing? It keeps taking a picture of my face." And I said, "Dad, there's a rotate button on it. Hit the rotate button." But he didn't hear me because he didn't realize that he called me. So I hang up, and 3 minutes later, the phone rings again. And I hear him say, "How am I supposed to charge this?" He's in the background saying, "How am I supposed to charge this? There's no cord." And I said, "It's a charging station, Dad. Just put it on the charging station. It charges itself." And he didn't hear me again because he didn't realize that he'd called me. Well, that went on for about 3 weeks. And then eventually, he knew how to work the thing. He figured it all out. And it came as no surprise to any of us that his favorite feature of the phone was the camera, because he was a lifelong acclaimed photographer. And he was always amazed at how many pictures he could take with his iPhone. Well, he was a prolific photographer for 70 years. And I mean, he was really good. He won awards, he was published, they had showings, his work is hanging up all over the place. And the problem with being a lifelong photographer and taking pictures all the time is you got to put them someplace. Well, when my siblings and I were clearing out his house, we found out where he put them. And they were everywhere. They were in books, they were in albums, they were in boxes and envelopes and bags, they were in shelves and in drawers, they were on top of things, behind things, underneath things. And while he took a lot of different pictures over a long period of time of all kinds of interesting subjects, his favorite subject was his family. So to give you an idea, I'm a 65-year-old grandfather. He has documented my life since I was an infant in every stage, and right up until about 2 weeks ago when he took my picture. And that's true of my brothers and sister too. So we're trying to clear out the house, and we're seeing all these pictures. And I did learn a lesson, which is nothing will slow up clearing out a house more than going on a trip down memory lane every 7 or 10 minutes. Anyway, it is surreal to me to wake up in a world that my father's not in. And profoundly sad. On the other hand, you have to think about somebody who lived 91 years and was able to get so much joy, just an unbelievable amount of joy out of every day. And that was my father. He just loved to be alive, and every day that he got the maximum amount of joy on it. And I got to figure that in anyone's book, that is a testament to a life well lived. My father was a constant presence in my life and the lives of a lot of people. And I think that to me, and maybe to a lot of other people, he really was always like the North Star. We could always guide our ship by him. Rest in peace, Dad.
Cantor Frost said it was such a pleasure to sit with you all the other day and hear stories and anecdotes all from your perspective about your dad. And as we all said to her, and she agreed, your dad was a unique man. He was the oldest of 3 children, and he had a privileged childhood. He lived in a multi-generational house with his great uncle and his grandparents, and there was a great deal of laughter, something that continued throughout his life, and he brought into the home that he and Harriet created. Alan went to the University of Illinois and met your mom, Lori and Bruce. It was not an easy marriage, and eventually your parents got divorced, and Alan was then set up with Harriet. Alan knew Harriet's brother through the scrap metal business, and Harriet lived way on the south side, and it was a definite commute for them to see each other, so it must have been a relationship worth investing in. Cantor Frost asked why Harriet fell in love with Alan, and y'all told her that he was a romantic, as has been said earlier today. He wrote her 4 poems a year, charming, handsome, funny, warm, and loving. You told her they genuinely liked each other, and Harriet told you that he always makes him laugh. And it wasn't easy. Financially, it was hard for them. Harriet worked as a speech pathologist, and Alan worked in the carpet business and also worked a part-time job to support his family. Yet they always made time for each other and knew how to take advantage of the things and places around them, whether it was going to the movies or walking around the Botanic Gardens or the zoo, always with a camera in hand. They simply delighted in each other. They were the best friends, the best of friends. Lori and Bruce, you remember that after your parents divorced, Sunday was your day with your dad. You would often go out for breakfast. Your dad would tell you he had already eaten so that you could spend whatever little money he had on the 2 of you. You have such sweet memories of that time that the 3 of you got to spend together. Alan and Harriet eventually got married in 1968, and Jay and Mark came along. It's evident how much you all love each other and respect each other. And Cantor Frost said that to the 4 of you that day. It's not always what happens when families blend, but the laughter and love between all of you was palpable. And it's a testament not only to who you are, but to who your parents were and the family that they built. And when Kenner Frost asked you what kind of father he was, Bruce told Kenner Frost he was wonderful. He wanted to truly know you. Jay, you said he was present and active in your life, whether it was coaching soccer or doing Cub Scouts and Indian Guides. He was meticulous and organized. He never threw anything away, including the apology letters that received from your third grade class when he came in as the picture lady, as your friends were also maybe not the most respectful. As we all said to Kenner Frost, your dad had much adversity in his life. Mark, you got sick at 18, and he watched his brother and sister pass away. His business was dissolving, and yet Alan kept a positive attitude. He believed that good and bad things happen, and you have the power to choose how you live your life and how to move forward. And as a grandfather and great-grandfather, you all shared with Kenner Frost that Alan loved spending time with each of his grandchildren separately. He loved finding things to do out and about, and even though there was a generational difference between Spencer and the rest of the grandchildren, Alan knew just how to fill a day with you, and it was nothing that involved screens. In fact, Alan journaled about every day that he spent with you, Spencer, writing about what was special during your time together and even including pictures. What a beautiful gift he left for you. Alan had a unique sense of adventure and exploration. Whether it was on a boat at the lake house when you were younger or exploring Asia with Jay to tap dancing lessons at 70 years old. He had a thirst for knowledge, exploring Judaism and Torah and the arts. Alan genuinely had a passion for life. And he was even part of a Northwestern study looking at super-agers. He entered the study when he was 80. Part of the study was the agreement to donate his brain to the study. This is why we are burying him today, a week later. Even in his death, Alan was thinking of others. His generosity was tenfold, wanting the researchers to learn something more that could help others live life to their fullest extent, yet another way for Alan to live his values. Indeed, Alan lives behind a legacy of which to be proud, one filled with humor, sarcasm, and perseverance, one filled with joy and passion, enthusiasm, and vibrancy. If he were here, he would tell you to live life to its absolute fullest. Follow your passions and appreciate the many gifts that are out there. Be joyful and silly. Don't take yourself too seriously. And yes, eat good food. But the most important thing he would tell you is to love each other. Check in on each other, because there is nothing more important than family. Family is everything. May his memory be for a blessing. I'll now invite you to please rise for El Malay Rachamim. The translation can be found in the inside of the pamphlet. El Malay Rachamim Shochein B'Amirabim Hamitzei Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei Hashchina Im Keroshim Utarim Kezohar Harakia Mazhirim Et Nishmat Avram ben Sidney Vesaider Shalach Leolamo Baal Harachamim Yastireichu Beseiter Knafav Leolamim Veitzror Bitzror Hachaim et Nishmato Adonai hu nachalato וינוח בשלום על משכבו, ונאמר אמן.
Please be seated for a few brief announcements. The interment will take place at West Lawn Cemetery, which is located in Norwich. If you're joining the procession will form in the parking lot, and we will provide those vehicles with an orange funeral sticker. It should be placed on the inside portion of the front windshield, and we will also provide those vehicles with a magnetic flag to be placed on top of your car. And please keep in mind two important safety features while in procession. Use your bright headlights and your emergency flashers at all times while in procession, and please stay as close to the car in front of you as safety will allow to avoid those large gaps in the procession. The Shiva will be observed at Mark and Jennifer Cohen's residence, 1423 Julie Lynn Court in Northbrook, following the interment today until 8 p.m., and then tomorrow, Tuesday, from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. All this information is listed in the service folder that you are given on your way into the sanctuary. If you did not receive one, they are available. And for those of you viewing the service from remotely, this information is on the Chicago Jewish Funerals website. At this time, I'm going to ask the following family members who will be serving as pallbearers to please step forward. Brian Cohen, Kevin Cohen, Jessica Cohen, David Craig, and Alex Craig. And I'll ask everyone to please rise at this time.